Boston Latin School and Harvard. How Colonial Boston Invented American Education. Boston Latin School, founded 1635, and Harvard College, founded 1636, are the two oldest educational institutions in the United States. Their establishment in colonial Boston not only marked the beginning of formal education in America, but also set enduring models for elite education, civic leadership, and intellectual life that would shape the nation for centuries. Below is a comprehensive look at their founding, educational philosophy, relationship, influence, and legacy. 1. Founding of Boston Latin School and Harvard. Boston Latin School founded April 23, 1635, by the town of Boston, making it the oldest public school in America. Purpose: modeled after the Free Grammar School of Boston, England, its mission was to provide a classical education centered on Latin and Greek, preparing boys for university, especially Harvard, and leadership roles in church and government accessibility. While the school was open to boys regardless of social class and funded by land rents and donations, it excluded girls and black students for much of its history. Early operations. Classes began in the home of the first headmaster, Philemon Portman, before moving to a dedicated schoolhouse in 1645. The curriculum was rigorous, with long school days and a focus on classical languages and literature. Harvard College founded, 1636, by a vote of the Great and General Court of the Massachusetts Bay Colony, just 1 year after Boston Latin. Purpose: established to ensure an educated clergy and leadership for the Puritan colony. Harvard was intended to train ministers, teachers, and civic leaders. Key figures: John Harvard, a clergyman, bequeathed half his estate and his library to the college, leading to its naming in his honor. Location: situated in Newtown, renamed Cambridge, chosen for its academic seclusion and resemblance to English universities. 2. Educational philosophy and curriculum. Boston Latin School philosophy, rooted in Puritan beliefs. The school emphasized literacy for religious understanding, moral instruction, and preparation for civic leadership. Curriculum. Modeled after English grammar schools, the curriculum focused on Latin, Greek, classical literature, Cicero, Virgil, Ovid, religious texts, and some arithmetic and writing. Instruction was rigorous, relying on memorization, recitation, and strict discipline. Harvard College philosophy. Harvard's mission was both religious and classical, aiming to produce learned men for ministry and governance. Over time, Enlightenment ideals, reason, science, and secular knowledge were incorporated. Curriculum required proficiency in Latin and Greek for admission. The curriculum included classical literature, philosophy, theology, mathematics, natural sciences, and rhetoric. Examinations were conducted in Latin, and the course of study was standardized and demanding. 3. The relationship, a preparatory pipeline, feeder system. Boston Latin School was explicitly designed to prepare students for Harvard, with its curriculum tailored to meet Harvard's entrance requirements. For example, reading Cicero and Virgil in Latin. Social continuity. This pipeline created a model for elite education, producing many of the region's civic, religious, and intellectual leaders. Shared values. Both institutions emphasized classical education, discipline, and the cultivation of intellectual and moral virtues for influence on American education and society, establishing the Boston model. Replication. The Boston model: publicly funded, classically oriented, selective schools feeding into elite colleges, was emulated in other colonies and later states. Preparatory schools and colleges across America adopted similar structures and curricular standardization. The model contributed to the standardization of curricula, record-keeping, and the professionalization of teaching. Civic orientation. Education was seen as essential for the public good and the maintenance of social order, reinforcing the link between education and civic responsibility. Shaping social and political thought. Classical and Enlightenment influences. The curriculum instilled values of republicanism, civic virtue, and public service, drawing on ancient Greece and Rome. By the 18th century, both institutions became conduits for enlightenment, ideas reason, natural rights, and the social contract. Training leaders, alumni included many founding fathers and key figures in American history, for example, John Hancock, Samuel Adams, John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Charles Sumner, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Henry David Thoreau, W.E.B. Du Bois. Their education equipped them for leadership in the Revolution, the drafting of foundational documents, and the shaping of American political and social thought. Social networks. Elite cohesion. Attendance at Boston Latin and Harvard created powerful social networks among the colonial elite, facilitating the exchange of ideas and coordinated political action, especially during the American Revolution. 5. Critiques and limitations. Exclusivity. Both institutions were initially open only to white male elites, excluding girls, people of color, and the poor. The first black graduate of Boston Latin was not until 1877, and the first girl graduated in 1859. Narrow curriculum. The focus on classical languages and literature left little room for science, practical skills, or creativity, and was slow to adapt to changing intellectual currents. Reinforcement of social hierarchies. The model perpetuated social stratification, serving as a gatekeeper of privilege and limiting social mobility. Resistance to change. Both schools were conservative in pedagogy and governance, often resisting reforms that would broaden access or modernize the curriculum. 6. Enduring legacy model for elite education. The Boston Latin to Harvard pipeline established a model for preparatory and higher education that would be emulated across the United States, influencing the development of private preparatory schools and public exam schools. Intellectual and civic leadership. The institutions produced generations of leaders who shaped American government, society, and culture, and their emphasis on liberal education and civic engagement remains influential. Ongoing debates. The legacy of exclusivity and classical focus continues to shape debates about access, equity, and the purpose of education in America. Conclusion. The founding of Boston Latin School and Harvard College in Colonial Boston was a transformative moment in American history. These institutions not only invented the American model of elite education, but also profoundly shaped the nation's intellectual, social, and political development. Their influence endures in the structure of American education, the ideals of civic leadership, and the ongoing pursuit of educational excellence and equity.